G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the Sea Hurricane Mark 1C. Yes, this is the quad 20mm Hispano Mark II armed Hurricane, and this thing used to be a hell of a lot of fun, although the guns, much like most of the Hispanos, can now be a little hit and miss. So, going through the basics as always, rank 2, battle rating 3.0, I don't think that's changed in a fairly long time, and today's video isn't a particularly long one, I've edited it down a lot. It was around a 25-minute mission, but it did have a couple of interesting parts that are worth taking a look at. And just so you know, this kill was not one of them. This is just a HE111, just was unfortunate enough to cross my path as I went through. And the only thing interesting here is it is a demonstration of exactly how neutered Gaijin has left the 20mm cannons in. Come on, anytime now. There we go. So after putting that many rounds into the back of the HE111, it was time to take the Hurricane back home, rearm, and get ready for the next part of the engagement. Now, the phase, while I did loiter around a little bit before returning to the runway, and the phase here, it did result in a lot of kills happening very quickly. And so we are now departing the runway after having rearmed. And as you can see, there is only one aircraft remaining on our team, a P-40. We have two squatted enemy aircraft just ahead. They're both in 109s. And we have a third unknown aircraft that's currently at the bottom of the enemy team that hasn't done anything yet. And at this point, I was assuming that aircraft would probably be parked on the runway. And this is the part where the engagements in this particular battle start getting interesting. So first things first, the enemy here, they're being a bit cocky. They've basically crippled this P-40. It's struggling to make itself home. Its engine's severely damaged. It's probably not going to get there. And the 109s, this squad, this pair here that are both playing together, decided to pop smoke, slow themselves down and fly escort just behind the P-40 as it was trying to struggle its way home. Big mistake when there's still another aircraft floating around. Showboating will get you killed every time. So, these two geniuses are in BF-109 E4s. These are probably the best aircraft in their battle rating. They're superior to the Sea Hurricane in pretty much every way except firepower, and their firepower is more reliable. However, because they're slow, even though they are faster and technically more maneuverable aircraft, they've got to accelerate and get altitude in order to be able to actually use any of those abilities, and why they're slow, they're prey. I shouldn't be able to do this to an E4 in this Hurricane, and yet I've just killed one of them. The first one that I hit there, those shots didn't look like they were too dangerous, but I blew something off the aircraft, and down he goes. And the second E4 here, which, why, again, should be significantly faster and be able to straight up fly away from me, well, he's got no energy. And he's got nowhere to dive because he was low, and he had his engine speed down, and so there goes a 20mm straight through the back of his pilot's head. Two aircraft that should have been able to, as a team, completely demolish my Hurricane in a fight. And they just got flattened because they decided to showboat rather than secure the match. Don't showboat. Now that does leave one remaining aircraft, and I was worried at this point that this was going to be a high-altitude bomber, flying around in orbit. Apparently he is not at the runway though. That's one thing. He's off to my right here at the moment. So I'm down to 283 rounds of ammunition, fly back to the runway, get another reload, it is right there after all, and then go and see exactly what our last plane is. And so, once again, we've repaired the aircraft, not that we needed any repairs, rearmed the guns, and we're back in the air. And it turns out our final remaining aircraft, who has been lurking the entire match, is strangely a 190. Not entirely sure why he had no points, or what the hell he's been doing all match, but he does have the altitude advantage, and he's not an idiot. He does know how to fly his plane. He's taking the altitude advantage. It is now a one-on-one with the last two aircraft remaining. I'm clear of the runway because I want a good fight. Dives through. Do a wide barrel roll. Duck in underneath him. And he has taken the plane vertical in order to get his altitude back. Now, he's probably being a little too aggressive in the climbs here. But he's the last aircraft on the team. It doesn't matter if he gets slow at the apex of the climb in order to dive back down. There's nobody else up there to threaten him. So it's not a bad play. And it keeps me, or keeps him rather, well out of my guns. He can choose when to re-engage me whenever he wants. So this guy did know how to fly his 190. He is doing it right here. Or at least he's mostly doing it right. So what I'm doing to him right now is I'm frustrating him. Every time he tries to dive in on me, I'm turning in towards him, but I'm not trying to pick my guns up to his level. I'm getting in underneath him. Now the reason why I'm doing that is I'm trying to increase his dive angle every single time, so he's got to dive harder and harder at me in order to have a chance of getting guns on. This gets more and more dangerous for him the lower to the ground we get, and each time I do this, I am taking this fight lower. So even here, he turns back, he does the smart thing, doesn't try and dive in fast, actually gets a good hit on me there and pops off my left hand flap, but in doing so, he's actually killing his energy because he's rushing it. Rather than spending the time to line me up knowing that I can't do anything, he's trying to force the fight. He's slowing himself down enough that now he's in a scissors with me. And even though the 190A is once again a completely superior aircraft, he is not going to win a turning scissors even against a quad 20mm Hurricane. It just doesn't have the maneuverability at slow speeds. And all I have to do is lift up the guns and put them on target. So, two sets of enemies here. One, a team in probably two of the best aircraft at the battle rating that should have been able to easily take me out, especially considering they were teamed up most likely on comms, showboating, and essentially threw themselves in the fire, and a 190 pilot that did know how to fly his plane, and did have a superior aircraft and had every advantage and was doing it right, other than probably being a little late getting into the engagement, but because he rushed it, ended up throwing the match for his team. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. I know this was a short one, but I hope it was entertaining nonetheless. Until next time, take care.